Hello, and a very warm welcome to the first Blether of 2026. Would you believe? From me, William.
And with me, Gary. And at this time throughout the world, Scots and their friends will be meeting to celebrate the life of Scotland's national bard, Robert Burns.
And hopefully doing some dancing as well. Robert, of course, wrote some of the world's best known poems and songs that we've all come to love.
And not only that, he learned to play the fiddle and indeed was taught to dance.
So there we are. Well, our guest today is a lady who has travelled the world promoting the works of Robert Burns, is a past president of the Robert Burns World Federation, which in itself has many similarities to the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society, and for many years was manager of the famous Globe Inn, Robert Burns' favourite pub.
Yes, so it's with great pleasure that we welcome onto the Blether Jane Brown.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello, Jane. Very warm welcome to you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
And guess where Jane is, Gary?
Oh, probably down in this bottom of Scotland somewhere. Not up in the nice part up in the north.
Not up in the wet, miserable northeast. She's in the near the Costa del Solway in Dumfries itself, where Robert Burns lived and died, aren't you, Jane?
Yes, I'm in Dumfries,
Yeah,
just quite near where he's buried.
that's right. That's right. And you live not too far from where he's buried, in
That's
fact.
right, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, how did you come to know Robert Burns, Jane? I mean,
I started enjoying Robert Burns at school,
uh-huh.
and we would do schools competitions, etc. And I was a singer, but I always came last.
Say
William, you can
nothing. No,
relate to that. You can
just
relate to that, William.
yeah, Jane, you and I and I think it still happens, but we, if I went to a drawer somewhere upstairs, I would find my Robert Burns Federation competition certificate, I've no
Yeah,
doubt.
no,
And,
good, yeah.
and I also think, I often say to people in Dumfries here, if you ask a child of 5 or 6 year old about Robert Burns, they'll tell you the whole story. Because he's just here, isn't he? It's difficult
Yes,
to explain, but his spirit still lives on in the walls and the streets of the town.
absolutely. And the schools in this area really embrace him very much. I mean, we have a competition in February, and there's over 300 children take part,
Hmm. Hmm.
which
That's
is
wonderful.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. When I
Well,
was when I was at school, we didn't do the Burns Federation competitions, but after I had left and I became a councillor, and I was still involved within education within Murray Council, and I know that Keith Primary School used to send quite a lot of kids along to the regional competitions and then on to the national ones as well, and I think we're quite successful at the time. But again, and that was very much down to one of the teachers at the time, though, who
It's all down
really.
to teachers in a way, parents, of course, too. But if the teachers encourage the kids and steer them the correct way, they're amazing children, amazing.
so
Yeah, and
there's an immediate similarity with Scottish country dance.
Yeah,
Same,
yeah.
same. So Jane, you then, of course, were for many years, and I don't want any stories told out of school here, Jane, but you were the manager at the Globe Inn, which to Scots is known as Burns' favourite house,
That's good.
as in pub, and his house was just along the street, and it's where he sat with his pals. Often had to end up staying the night, which I have to say hasn't happened to me. There's been a few near misses, hasn't there, Jane? But Jane's one of those folk, as the manager. Jane will not disclose anything about what went on in the Globe over all these years, I'm sure, Jane.
I'm very sure what happens in the globe stays in the globe.
Absolutely. And of course, the Globe is the home to the Burns House Club, which has been on the go for a very, very long time. And it was an all male event. But I think they do have some lady honorary members, don't they, Jane?
Yes, I happen to be one of
I
them.
thought you might be, because you looked after
They
the
made,
boys for many years.
they made me a lady honorary member, and it was a great honour indeed. But maybe because I knew too much, maybe.
But of course, they've done such a great deal of work. The
Yeah.
Burns House Club, as have the Dumfries Burns Club itself, and the ladies number one. But so, what it is about the Globe, Jane? Tell us about a wee bit about the Globe and where you were manager and Robert Burns.
The Globe was established in 1610, so it was a long time before Robert Burns came along in 1787. But when he first came along to the Globe, he he would be out on his duties as an exciseman, and sometimes it'd be 200 miles a week on the back of a pony around the coastal areas here in Dumfries. And there was no roads to Ellisland where he lived in those days. There was no 4x4s and snow ploughs and things. So if the weather was that bad, he would often lodge in the Globe and got very friendly with the landlords, Meg and Jock Hislop, and extremely friendly with their niece, Anna Park. And he had an affair with Anna, and she gave birth to a baby girl 9 days before his wife, Jean, gave birth to a son. And Anna moved to Edinburgh with the child, but couldn't get employment. So the baby, Elizabeth, was brought back to Dumfries, and Jean Armour, Robert Burns's wife, most compassionately brought the child up with her own children.
Yeah. I mean, Jean Armour is somebody we really should give a great mention to. She's a remarkable lady, and our statement that Ur Rab should have had twa wives.
Yeah.
But it's remembering it's late 1700s Scotland. You know, we shouldn't judge people with that. And it took a long, long time, but thanks to the Burns House Club from the Globin, a statue of Jean was erected not all that long ago in Dumfries. It was long, long ago. What a remarkable lady.
2004, we managed to raise £40,000 to erect the statue to Jean, and it's wonderful. She kind of looks at the graveyard where he's buried, down to the river, and in her peripheral, her home. So she's right in the centre of where things that were important.
Yeah.
And
he also wrote a lot of poems and songs for her, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. One of them's my favourite. It's Parnassus Hill. And the last two verses, if you want me to recite
Yes,
them.
please.
Yes.
By night, by day, I feeled at hame, the thoughts of thee my breast inflame, and I muse and sing thy name. I only live to love thee. Though I were doomed to wander on, beyond the sea, beyond the sun, till my last weary sand was run, till then, and then, I'd love thee. Wow.
Amazing.
Gentlemen out there, if you could find some of that sensitivity and that
Listen.
to whisper to
Jane.
your lady in bed, there'd never be a headache at bedtime again.
Jane, if Gary wrote something like that for his wife, she'd run a mile. She'd absolutely poor Joe. She'd think he was sick, the fella.
She'd wonder what on earth was wrong.
Jean Armour, which makes you think she was the love of his life.
Yeah, of course. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And as I say, you know, he loved the lassies, as we all know, and wrote these wonderful, wonderful love songs, A Fond Kiss and My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose. I mean, we can go on and on. And these are known throughout the world. I mean, they are worldwide because your federation has like the RSCDS, you know, branches and members worldwide.
Absolutely.
And of course, Robert Burns, it's arguable, but Robert Burns has more statues and monuments throughout the world than virtually anybody else. I think there's an argument maybe Queen Victoria and Christopher Columbus are there as well, but Robert Burns has more statues. Yeah, credible.
I've seen quite a lot of them myself, and it's like your own society. When expats leave to go and start pioneering or whatever they did years ago, and even now, they take things with them. They take a Bible, they take a Burns book, they take their knowledge. So when they get there, they start a Burns club or a pipe band or a dancing society. That's the three things that Scots always take with them, and they've got such a work ethic that they all do well abroad, especially places like Canada, America, Australia, you know, etc. That's what they've taken with them, their legacy, and this is why we're very similar with Burns and dancing.
And Jane, what is it you think about Burns's poetry that really just has captured the world?
Well, it resonates with most people of all ages because he was a man of the people. He was a poet of the people. He could relate to nature. He could relate to wars. He could relate to romance, obviously, with all his wonderful romantic poems. And he had a philosophy that said, we're all Jock Tamson's bairns. We're all the same. So it doesn't matter if you have a big house or a big car. You should all treat each other with respect and kindness. And one of his best poems relating that is the Twa Dogs, where he's got the dog or the dog belonging to the wee lowly ploughman, and he's got the dog belonging to the master, and they have a blether like this, and they talk to each other about their lives with the different classes, which in those days was huge between the classes. And if you really study that poem, it really brings home to you how there should be no difference. There should be no difference. And Burns managed to portray that. I mean, I don't know if you read much, Burns, yourself, but I do a blog every morning since COVID, 4 lines every morning, even I'm still doing it. And I can find a poem for everything that's happened throughout COVID, throughout the world. When something comes on the news, I can find a poem to relate to everyday living.
I tell you, Jane, at the moment, with the way the world is just now, if folk delved into their Burns book, they would find a lot of answers. I go immediately to a man's a man for all that, to that last verse. Then let us pray that come it may, as come it will for all that sense and worth our all the earth shall bear the gree and all that. For all that and all that, it's coming yet for all that. Although it seems to be quite getting further away at the moment, which is very sad. And that was Burns in late 1700s. And here we are, 2026, and things aren't
He'd
much
be
better.
very, very disappointed in mankind. He really would.
Yeah.
And of course, it was that poem, although it was sung, was chosen to be sung at the opening of the new Scottish Parliament back in 1999 as well.
Brothers be for all that. It's no happened. It's no happened yet, and it's getting worse.
Yeah. Oh well. Jane,
our joint fraternity, the dancing and the Burns, we have a wonderful fraternity, the both of us, that keep that friendship going, and we understand the meaning of kindness and love for each other, your fellow man and your brother.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing, Jane, isn't it? And as you say, he would be totally disappointed. And I mean, again, the other thing, he's been painted by some of the greatest painters in the world. Naismith that he sat for, and he became a friend of Naismith, the great painter. And then, of course, just recently they discovered it in a second-hand sale, I think in London, a Henry Raeburn picture of Burns, which is a copy of the Naismith, but in Raeburn's inimitable style with the warm tones and all sorts of stuff. It looks fantastic, and it's just gone, I think, on show in Edinburgh at the moment. So there you are, Gary. You didn't realise I was a connoisseur of art.
Well, I mean, you have done your Google homework clearly before we've come on to this, Blether.
I beg your pardon. I know all about warm tones and art and stuff. So Jane, moving on, when you became president of the Robert Burns World Federation, Gary and I've been chairing Gary's chair at the moment, the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society, and you meet the most amazing people throughout the world. And tell us some of the places, because I know you've been to some amazing places.
Well, the door seems to get thrown open for you, and it's not because of me being president. I represent the membership of the Robert Burns World Federation. My role was more of an ambassador representing this membership. And I've been all over Canada, America, Australia, New Zealand, Russia. I was in St. Petersburg, which is, they really, really revere Burns in Russia. They used to up there along with I can't remember now, but I'll come back to me. And I would be in Vienna. Who knew that Vienna would have a Burns Club? Norway, Abu Dhabi, all over Great Britain and Northern and Southern Ireland. So, I mean, 80,000 miles I travelled in my year of office. I did log going to Kilmarnock every month in part of the mile. But, just to get abroad. And most of the people arrange for me to go, and they put you up like yourselves. You get hospitality, unbelievable hospitality of being put up and taken around and shown places and sightseeing. But you make friends for life. And it's just enhanced my life so much that since being involved with Robert Burns, it's crazy. You think, How did that happen?
But Jane, this is exactly the same as Gary and I have experienced as chairs of the Country Dance Society. And they won't hear about you staying in a hotel. No, you come and stay with
Oh
us
no,
and they'll invite their friends round.
well, you wouldn't
And
want to. You love it.
no, no, they're amazing. And I'll guarantee a lot of those folks that were at your burn suppers were also members of their dancing group in Vienna, because we have a branch in Vienna,
Oh, really?
Australian. Oh, yes, yeah, we've got, I mean, it's very, very similar. And your headquarters is in Kilmarnock, as you said, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's in
And
Command.
what's the sort of
Have a
membership of?
conference every year. I suppose you do too.
Yes, yeah.
We've had some abroad as well, but mostly they're in Scotland, but not always. I mean, we've been abroad with some of them before, but this year again, it's in Kilmarnock for a change. We haven't been in Kilmarnock. Last year was the first year in Kilmarnock, so it was so successful. We thought we'd have it again in Kilmarnock in September, and we do get people coming from all over the world to it.
So, Jane, what's the purpose of the Robert Burns World Federation for those that maybe haven't heard quite so much about it?
Yeah, well, it's to promote the work of Burns, first and foremost, and Scottish literature and all his works, but it's to promote it as a fraternity all over the world. You know, to bring all the different clubs together, all the different clubs join it and become members. They're given a federated number. And we have a vision, it's a magazine that's printed every 3 months. We have an editor from Canada, Ronnie O'Byrne's his name, what does a wonderful job. And all the clubs put their wee snippets in, you know, of what they've been up to with photographs and things. And this vision's sent out to every member. And we have a chronicle, which is rather more academic about Burns's work, and it's printed through the Edinburgh Press, and that goes out to all members as well. But I think to see its real identity is the conference when you see everybody meeting up. You must know this as well.
Yeah.
Everybody meets up and catches up. And it's like, it's like the family. It's a family.
Well, our founder talked about our international family and the country dancing. But, you know, for me, this just absolutely sets it in stone for me. It's the Scot. There's something about the Scot, and I'm not saying this because I am a Scot, but you see it overseas, you see it, they go, as you say, to other countries with the literature, with the dancing, but they don't keep it to themselves. It's, come on, we want you to share this with us because it's a good thing, it's a happy thing, it's a joyful thing, brings people together and in a positive way. And that's the Scots, isn't it? I mean, I can't imagine what they're going to be like. Well, I can imagine what they're going to be like in America for the World Cup.
Well, it's like no Scotland, no party. It is. You know, and a lot of other teams, not just in the football and various things, they're really quite envious of what we Scots have to share. You know, it's not just football, it's everything. It's our literature, it's our dancing, it's our bagpiping, it's everything. And people look at us, they go, I wish I was Scottish.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Jane, how many members do you have worldwide?
Oh, now I couldn't give
If
you
you
the
know.
figures.
If
I
you
couldn't
know.
the figures. You know, club-wise, I think there's over 360 odd clubs.
That's
And then
amazing.
count all the individual members on top of that. But I'm not quite sure of the exact figures. Sorry, we should have done that
No,
for you.
no, not at all.
But
Not at
but
all.
but to touch on a negative for a moment or two, I imagine the Burns situation is much the same to ours. The struggle to get younger people interested in the clubs.
Is hard, yeah.
Yes, same.
And
Yeah.
we have ladies, Dumfries Ladies Burns Club in their 90s,
Mhm.
80s, 70s, maybe just a couple with struggle from 60 down. And then it comes to your dinners and they don't want to come out at night, you know, and understandably, COVID has affected them quite a lot. And you'll only maybe get 25 instead of 85. It used to come years ago.
Well, Gary, you and I recognize this. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in exactly the same situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think a lot of cultural organisations are not all that different. You know, I don't think we, as the Robert Burns World Federation and the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society, are unique in that. And I think, you know, I think we've discussed it on the Blether here before about how you've got so much entertainment at your fingertips now that you know, a lot of folk, you don't need to go out. to get
That's
that
right.
entertainment side of things. But for
We
both our
have
organ,
they're young. We have them at school and we have
yeah,
them at secondary school and we have them just in the beginning of their university life, but then we lose them. Then we lose them unless they're following a career in singing and things that can keep coming back and entertaining us. You'll be the same with the dancing. And then they meet up with guys and girls and they have their own real life, they get married, they have their kids, and it all kind of falls away. But then they come back maybe as they're older.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's the thing.
that that group that we need to get hold of and keep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, and
do
it's
you
thinking
know
about. I'm
what?
just going to say, it's thinking about different ways of how to attract that
Mm-hmm.
age group,
Very
isn't it?
different.
Because we all know they're the age group that are starting off a career or a family or both, and juggling parents and children and jobs and all that kind of stuff. And it's thinking of different way. We have a very set way in most places of weekly classes every weeknight, and then dances on a Friday or a Saturday night. And it's maybe thinking about a different way of how we can do that. And has there been any discussion in the Burns Federation about how to try and get that age group?
It ends. It never ends. We keep coming, trying things, and wonder what we can do. It's one of the biggest continuous topic that we have at board meetings is how do we get these youngsters on board, and we try and get from the schools is the best way, but we try and get young ambassadors to come on board as well, and try very hard, but it's very difficult.
But maybe, Gary, there's a thing, we should be getting together, some of our folks with the Robert Burns World Federation and others, in Scotland who represent Scotland's cultures and trying to work on this together. And somebody will come up with something. But rather than working in our own wee silos, just be trying to promote
Yeah,
each other's.
Yeah.
promoting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do with the Robert Burns Association of North America. It's called Rabana or Arbana, as they say. And we work in conjunction with them as well. And members from them can become members of ours and vice versa. And we go to their conference, they come to our conference.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's another Burns Association,
Yeah.
it's
But at the end of the day, Jane, we're all in this together. I mean, that's what I keep saying. We're
absolutely.
all in this together. But to get back to the
A worldwide conference of
yeah, yeah,
Burns and dancing all
dancing. Why not? Why not? Why not? To get back to the man himself and his
together.
dancing, though, and he's fiddling. Can you tell us something about Burns? Because he, because
Well, I
he
have
said,
a wee
aye.
snippet here that I read the other day saying that Robert Burns learned to dance at the Turboughton or the Turbolton, if you want to be posh, Turboughton Bachelors Club. It was a thatched house in Turboughton where he and his friends met in the late 1770s to debate, socialise, and attend dancing lessons from teacher William Gregg, using the venue for important formative experiences in his youth, despite his father's disapproval. These lessons helped him, and I like this, to give his manners a brush, providing a social outlet and a chance to meet local lasses, playing a crucial role in his development. Well, there you
There
are.
you are. Yeah, well,
Anson came into it,
yeah,
but his father was not amused
no,
that he did this because it made his father realize he didn't control him anymore. He had reached that age where he was making his own mind up about things and wanted to be in fellowship and debate. Not just that was with because it was a bachelor's club, so it was men only. But he learned to dance there, and
yeah,
I'm sure he
yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and for the dancers watching this, it was Greg was a dancey, as we call him, a dancey, and they went
Mhm.
round the villages teaching. They were hired in, and they would play the fiddle and dance at the same time. They would
That's
teach.
right.
They
Yeah,
all, Burns learned the fiddle, and that's why the marriage of his works, his poems, and the music that he set them to, just the marriage is unbelievably fine because he understood tunes and he understood music. So when he was
exactly.
thinking about the words, he could hear the tune as he's writing it. An absolute genius, absolute amazing to come from such humble background as well. But of course, his father, I did read, I think, in one of Burns' letters. And for folks watching, you can get books and find Burns' letters, and they are amazing. You learn so much about him. He did say that his father never actually forgave him, and he never really made up with his father again because of the dancing business.
I don't know what his dad have
Crazy.
against it. You know, to me, if one of my children wanted to do that, I'd be going with them.
But it's quite a remarkable scene of the time, isn't it? You're not going to the
Yeah,
dancing. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Not going
yeah.
to, can you imagine?
That can you imagine? I know. And
But
by the way,
There's,
that business of brushing up your manners and things.
that was lovely.
Could you give me the address of that place? Because I'd like to just send Gary along to that to
yeah.
see if we can tidy up his manners a bit. My goodness, Jane, you've no idea the way I have to scuttle about after him at events while he's putting his big foot in it half the time. But anyway, that's
Oh,
another story.
yeah, absolutely.
Funny. It's good fun.
Yeah, the dancing shines through in some of his poetry as well, doesn't it? You know, that knowledge of dancing, and Tam O'Shanter's one of them.
Yes,
Which,
they click it.
yeah, and it speaks about the warlocks and witches in a dance, naked Tillion, Brent, Newfie, France, but hornpipes, jigs, suspeys and reels,
Feels
but life
like
and metal in their heels.
Brilliant.
yes,
So, you know,
if you look through a lot of his poetry, you'll get a wee verse all the time that kind of brings him to the fore, and he got a knowledge of so many things for a young man.
But the secret of that as well,
Of
he understood the music and the rhythm, because when you say that again, Gary, and as you're saying it, it's actually in a dancey rhythm.
yeah. Warlocks and witches in a dance, naked Tillion, Brent, Newfie, France, but hornpipes, jigs, strathspeys and reels, with life and metal in their heels. I think
It's
it's more in the delivery volume.
it's about the
Um,
delivery, and that was nearly okay. But you know what I mean? It's the man had the knowledge of the
oh,
music and the
definitely.
poem, and absolutely incredible.
and
Yeah.
of course, that's taken from Tam O'Shanter, which is about 900 pages long, isn't it? But I mean, it's I wish I could have time to learn
Yeah, it's
Tam
amazing.
O'Shanter off by heart, because when you see somebody standing up and delivering Tam O'Shanter off by heart, it's
Oh,
such a great story,
well,
isn't it? And so
the
descriptive.
Dumfries Burns Club #1. We hold a worldwide Tam O'Shanter competition every September in the Globe Inn, and this year will be our 32nd competition, and people enter it from all over the world. We have 6 or 7 people enter it every year, and you have to sit and listen to 6 or 7 renditions of Tam O'Shanter. And we have the Robert Burns World President as our main judge, the previous year's winner, and a guest judge. And that, I mean, they come from all over to try
Yeah.
and win that trophy. And
It goes
it's
on
fun
to,
to
it
hear
goes
it.
on to about 3 o'clock in the morning, Gary. So
Well, it must do, and it starts
but
at 3 o'clock in the morning as well.
actually, I'm no joking. Most of the Burns things at the Globe and went on till three
Well, the
o'clock.
house for having their dinner the night. So
All right, are they? Oh gosh. So, but Jane, I'm right in saying Tam O'Shanter, Burns pretty much wrote that in a day, didn't he? Sitting in the wee
Ellis,
hermitage at Ellisland, the wee hermitage by the
he
River
walked
Nith,
up. He walked up and down the water side.
the river. It-
Jean wondered what on earth he was doing. His arms were raised and he was screaming and shouting and speaking out loud, and it was all coming to him fast. It's an amazing
But
poem.
wasn't that because I can't remember the man's name, but he wanted Burns something to do with the antiquities of Scotland. He was writing a book, and
Francis Gross.
he was, yeah, Francis Gross. Wasn't he putting a picture of the old brig or something, or
Uh,
Alloway into this? And he asked Burns, and Burns said, "Well, if you do that, I'll write a poem to go with it." And he did it in a day.
and they had to get the kirk, the Alloway Kirk in it.
Yes, that's right.
It's an amazing poem.
Yeah,
But I don't know how they learn it, but I think it's more of a tale, a story. So
Yeah,
because it's a story, it is seemingly quite easy to learn because you know how the story's
yeah,
going.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. You can see that when you go through it, you think you could see how you would learn it, because it's got as you say, a story to it rather than just a series of verses that kind of
It's
come in
like
and feed each other.
because there's an English verse in it. You're going on about Tam O'Shanter, and then you kind of pause for a minute and go, but pleasures are like poppies spread. He sees the flower, the bloom is shed, or like the borealis race that flits ere you can point their place, or like the rainbow's lovely form evanishing afore the storm, or like the snowfall on the river, a moment white, then melts forever. Totally English.
And then goes back into the Scots. It's
Then
like a
back
pause. It's like
Yeah.
a pause to
Yeah, it's like
pull your attention. Something's going to happen here. Yeah, aye.
so clever.
It's very, very clever. It is amazing.
And then he goes on about scalping through dubs, which I think is just,
Grabbed in
you know,
my
it's just great. Dubs is one of my favourite Scots words.
Aye,
It's just, which is mud, of course, for our
I love
international audience.
the end when he says, what does he say at the end? Gosh, it goes
Why this tale of truth shall read.
like man and mother
Man and mother's son tak
if
heed.
there to drink you are inclined, and cutty sats run in your mind. Think you may buy the joys our dear. Remember Tam o' Shanter's mare.
Yes, yes, yeah. And Gary, we've all been there when maybe there's just, I mean, dare I say, even at after parties at country dance events when you've had just one over the and you suddenly we should all remember Tam O'Shanter's Mere, you know, and you think, oh heck, yeah.
Well, I love that you have after parties. We
Oh,
love after
oh,
parties
listen.
conference.
Aye. Oh, listen, I tell you, the after parties.
There's pre-parties too sometimes, depending on where you go.
So, have you got any more favourites, Gary, or Burns that you really enjoy that comes to mind?
I think, I mean, Tam O'Shanter's probably, if I could learn it, it's the one thing I would love to learn of Burns. And in being a northeast loon rather than a
Southwest gentleman.
southwest gentleman, I
Thank you.
um,
Thought I'd get in quick there, Jane. I
don't
got in
know,
quick
but
You
there.
did, you did.
and if I could sing as well, that would be even better. But there's
You
one of the poems. So I've got a book here, which is from 1963 actually, and it's it's from the Burns Federation.
Oh.
My dad won it in primary 4 in 1962, which is just amazing. And so I've got it here. But there's a man called Alan Pryor, who William you met just fairly recently,
Yes.
who is a wonderful singer. And he's from Edinburgh, from Blether. And one of the songs he sings is Westland Winds, or
Nice.
Composed in August is what
I love that.
titled here. And it's such a gorgeous, I mean, it's much better sung, I think, than recited. But as the dancers will know, I am not going to curse anybody with my singing. But it's just such a gorgeous, gorgeous poem. Now westland winds and slaughtering guns bring autumn's pleasant weather. The gorcock sings on whirring wings among the bloomin' heather. Now waving green wide o'er the plain delights the weary farmer. The moon shines bright as I rove by night to muse upon my charmer.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It's a lovely, lovely song, and I
One
think
poem that's all about nature.
Mhm.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
and I mean, even that the poem Tea Moose
Oh.
when he's crashing through the wee mouse's nest that it's taken it forever to make, and then he stands full of guilt and talks to it about what right did I have to
No.
break up your? I mean, I have tears in my eyes when I read Tea Moose. It's good, and for our international friends watching this all over the world, Robert Burns has been translated into every language imaginable, so you can get a hold of Robert Burns books and you can read these poems in your own language. But one of my favourites, of course, Jane, is the Epistle to Davy.
Well, I love it.
And yeah.
I put that on my blog today, Epistle to
All
David.
right, yeah. And that last that verse, it's no in titles nor in rank, it's no in wealth like London Bank to purchase peace and rest. It's no in Mackin muckle mare, it's no in books, it's no in lear to mak us truly blessed. If happiness hae not her seat and centre in the breast, we may be wise or rich or great, but never can be blessed. Nae treasures nor
Nay.
pleasures can mak us happy lang. The hairties, the pertie, that maks us richt or wrang.
Love that verse.
Simple stuff. I mean, but so, and you just wish what we're seeing in our tellies at the moment, these folk would just pay attention to stuff like that. It's so sad.
It is very sad.
Burns had it all there 200 years
Well,
ago.
people like George Washington, it really influenced him.
Yeah.
He had a Burns book and thought and read it often. So if people, maybe we should send one to President Trump.
Am I not correct in thinking, moving this on very rapidly, am I not correct in thinking that George Washington was hoping to travel to Scotland to visit the Burns sites, but was assassinated
That's right.
quite shortly before he was due to travel to Scotland? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because he just loved Robert Burns and his philosophy. Hey, we could talk
Yeah.
about this all night, folks, couldn't we? It's amazing.
But, William, isn't it great that both our organisation and the Robert Burns World Federation, Jane, give folk that escapism from the stuff that is going on in the telly at the moment. You know, you take yourself off to a Burns supper or a Burns event or a Scottish country dance, and you totally immerse yourself in it when you're
Yeah.
there, and you forget everything that's going on outside. And it's a great way to just get on with,
Well, it
to
enhances
get away
your
from it.
enhances your life. It takes away that worry of
Yeah.
what's happening in it, and we can't really do much about what's happening. So it gets you out of there and it enhances your life because of the kindness and friendship and fraternity that you've joined. It's wonderful. Burns, I think Burns kind of sums it up in a verse. Here's a bottle and an honest friend. What could you wish for mair, man? Wha kens when their life may end, or what their share may be of care, man? So catch the moments as they fly and use them as ye ought, man. Believe me, happiness is shy and comes not aye when sought, man. So he even knew then that you have to live for today and grab these moments as they come. And I absolutely adore that verse. It's fabulous.
But be nice to each other at the same time as we
Absolutely.
go along life's road. Well, Jane, look, we're rapidly running out of time. We could go on about this all night, but I mean, please give best wishes from all the members of the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society to all the members of the Robert Burns World
And
Federation.
eternal greetings back from the Robert Burns World Federation to all you members. It was lovely talking to you, boys.
Lovely talking to you. And we'll just tell the folks who we're going to have next month, Gary.
Yes.
But I'm going to do it, Gary.
You're going to do
Gary
it
gets
this
up.
week because I don't know. Just before we do though, William, I just had a quick squint online. I couldn't find the membership numbers, Jane, but I saw that you're in, and this is more for information for our members. But to join the Robert Burns World Federation, the individual membership is £47.
Correct.
And that's just more for information for our members because ours
we'll
is
just
quite
leave-
considerably
website you can go on to.
because ours is quite considerably cheaper than that.
Yes,
So it's just to give context to our members.
Clubs are a bit dearer. You can join as a club. And
Uh-huh.
then even though if you're a member of that club, you can go to things because your club is a member, but you're not an individual member, even though you're in a club, but you're a member of the club that's a member, if you know what I mean.
Similar to our, related club
Yeah.
and so on. Yeah. But that's interesting, Gary. Very interesting. We'll just
Well,
leave that one. Just
we'll
leave
leave
that
that-
one hanging there.
We'll
Yeah.
leave that hanging around
Yeah.
in the ether there for folk to
And of
ruminate.
course, I mean, people abroad will know sayings like the best laid schemes o' mice and men. They will know to see ourselves as others see us. Robert Burns. That's where.
And we haven't even spoken about
Sign, of course, is the
we
big
haven't even spoken about Auld Lang Syne.
No. Auld Lang Syne, that
We'll have to get you
international.
back on, Jane.
Yeah,
We'll have to get you
absolutely.
back
Great.
on
That'd
the
be great.
chat.
Auld Lang Syne, international anthem. Peace throughout the
Anyway,
world.
your turn to get excited, William.
Yes, I'm getting excited. Gary usually gets very excited about this, but he doesn't know this is happening.
I have
so
no
I've just got
idea.
it fixed up. Well, you've got a fair idea. If I can hold this up, this is a book called Heel for Heel, which has been published. It's now in the shops, and Cindy Gray has produced this book, and it's all about Scottish dance in all its forms: Highland, country, Ceilidh, the whole jing bang, reeling, everything. And it features quite a bit about the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society. And we were interviewed, we did play our part in the production of the book. So Cindy is coming on in February to talk about how she compiled the book and some of the things that she found out while she was doing that. So next month's Blether, Cindy Gray, Heel for Heel. So that'll be really interesting.
That is exciting.
It's very exciting. Look, Jane, thanks very much. All the best and
welcome.
happy, all the celebrations you have, because Burns Day here just doesn't happen on the 25th. It goes on for about 6 weeks on one side and 6 weeks on the other.
Saturday night, boys, I'm at Ibrox. I'm doing Emirate Rangers, so we should have a good night.
Yeah, just be careful what you say, Jane. Didn't cause any rows or anything. It wouldn't be like you, but so that's terrific. But hopefully we'll meet sometime soon, and hopefully Gary, you'll get a chance to
Yes,
meet Jane sometime. And
Yeah,
or
it'd be
something.
great to meet you in
Yeah.
person,
be
Jane.
great.
Thank
So
you.
in the meantime, that's it until next month, and all the best, everybody, for 2026. We're up and running already, so it's cheerio from me and him.
And it's cheerio from him and me.
And me.
Well done, Jane.